So we have Keanu Reeves in our lead role, and he's just graduated from Quantico.
I think you mean Quantico?
Whatever. And he is this young go-getter. And we really want to show how his superior kind of looks down on him and wants to put him in his place. We need a punchline for him to really put Keanu Reeves in his place when he first gets to his...
Well, what is it like? What maybe he calls him hey, squirt or something like that?
No, I really want him to really attack his character, maybe even.
I know. Call him a noob.
I feel like that's not that serious of an insult, you know? I want something a little bit more with gravitas.
How about Blue Flame Special?
I don't really know what that means.
That's like an FBI thing.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can keep that in the movie because he's in the FBI, but I don't think people will get that. I want something hard hitting.
Okay. I got it.
Okay.
We'll say he's young, dumb,
and full of cum. You slayed the cat.
Yeah, we did it.
Slay the cat. Slay the cat. Podcast.
Slay the cat is speaking truth. Slay the cat is proof. Here I stop your favorite film. Slay the cat is juiced. Slay the cat podcast. Slay the cat podcast. Slay the cat podcast. Slay the cat podcast.
What's up, all my spiritual surfer criminals out there? You're listening to Slay the Cat. I'm your host, Joey, alongside my co-host, wife,
Aaron. That bitch.
That bitch. Well, you guys put on your presidential face masks and listen to this, but don't rob any banks.
Yeah, probably not the best idea.
Feel free to dress up like a president, but don't rob any banks while listening to this podcast.
Yeah. This is a very interesting point in the whole movie. It's kind of right out the gate, but is there anything you want to talk about before we get into the movie, actually?
Well, we usually have a little banter up top, and I was just going to say, this movie we're watching is Point Break, but we are on a little thing called Spring Break.
Spring Break! My tits have been out. I'm just kidding.
And I've been throwing beads at you.
Mm-hmm.
That's more of a Mardi Gras thing.
Yeah.
We're on spring break here in Houston, Texas, and I took a little vacation. I don't teach school. I'm a mechanic, but I decided to take a week of vacation so that I can hang out with the fam.
And I'm on spring break, baby, and so is my child.
And we've been having a great time so far, but we still have how many days left? We got like 7 days left.
7 days left. Whew. And they're not going by too fast, which I'm grateful for.
No, they're definitely not going by too fast. I'm taking this spring break to take care of a few things that I need to take care of.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Yeah.
I'm taking
some doctor's appointments.
Getting my contacts prescription filled. What else? Also getting filled in other ways. I'm getting a filling. I'm just kidding. I'm not getting a filling.
Yeah, and just a few minutes ago, you were young and dumb and full of cucumber sandwiches.
I was full of cucumber. I didn't eat the whole thing, though.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never had a cucumber sandwich. Is it any good?
They're pretty good. I've had them a couple of times. If you make them right, they're really yummy. I wish that we had fresh dill, because all we have is dried dill. It's good, but it's not as good without fresh dill.
Yeah, you definitely want that fresh dill in there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like dry dill. It's not good.
I really don't like many dried seasonings.
Yeah, dried herbs are pretty garbage.
I like fresh herbs. we have fresh rosemary and oregano, but we didn't have any dill. So I was like, man, I want some dill. I want some fucking fresh dill now.
Yeah, man, I want some fucking fresh dill.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck?
It would have been great in our chicken salad. I like to cook. I like to cook a lot, and I don't.
No, you don't.
I do like to cook. I just don't have the opportunities to cook.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Because I'm constantly teaching or in rehearsals for shows.
Yeah, you usually get home pretty late.
Yeah.
So it's hard for you to cook. I've had to take over a lot of that duty, and I hate cooking.
Mm-hmm. So whenever I'm on break, I like to cook more often. So we have several meals planned out. I even made chicken salad today. It was pretty good. It calls for fresh dill or fresh parsley, but I didn't have either of those. So I used fresh oregano. It's pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Well, since it's spring break, I was going to ask you, is there any spring break media that you like? Like, is there a play that takes place during spring break or television or anything like that you like?
I don't know if it takes place during spring break per se, but there is a play that it's called Lips Together, Teeth Apart. It's a really great play by Terrence McNally, I think. Oh my gosh.
Terrence McNally? Is he the guy who makes the maps, or is that Rand McNally?
I don't know who that is.
I was trying to think of like a spring break movie that I know and like, but I couldn't.
It is Terrence McNally.
Can't think of anything.
But the play is about these two couples that go to stay at one of their siblings' houses because they have a pool. It's like by the beach. It's on Fire Island.
Ooh.
So they're surrounded by gay people.
Gay people who are partying.
Oh yeah, partying gay people. But you don't really see any of them, but it's just these two couples, and there's one like big part of the play where they're scared to get into the pool because her brother died of AIDS, and it was right when the AIDS epidemic was really,
and they didn't really know how it was transmitted yet.
Yeah, so they were like, "Can we get in the pool? I don't know. I want to get in the pool, but like I'm kind of scared to."
Yeah.
But it's more about like there's like cheating relationships with each other, and they're both two married couples, and one of them is the male and female from one of the couples is like cheating on the other couples with each other.
Oh.
And so it kind of falls apart. It's a great play. I like Terrence McNally.
Like you do. What did you say his name was?
Terrence McNally.
Terrence McNally. Okay, cool. I can't think of any movie that takes place during spring break. I must have seen one. But all I can really think about was like MTV Spring Break, watching that in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being a kid thinking like, is this what like people in their 20s do? Is they go to spring break and they're half naked all the time and getting drunk and like dancing on the beach and stuff. And then I actually got to that age. I'm like, oh, that was just TV.
Yeah.
Really, the MTV very much lied to me about what adulthood was.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. I've never done any kind of spring break kind of thing. There was even a movie called Spring Break. It had
There's several movies called
It had
Spring
Selena
Break.
Gomez in it.
I know that one, Spring Breakers.
Oh, maybe that's what it's called.
Oh. Anyway, they like meet some drug dealer or something. Like
yeah, I
these
think
two
so.
girls.
Oh, it's like there's like 4 girls.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a couple movies named Spring Break. I think there's even a horror movie called Spring Break.
Mm-hmm.
But I never saw that either.
Yeah. But
and I didn't go to college after I got out of high school. I didn't go to college till I was 27. And by that age I was like, I don't want to go to spring break.
Mm-hmm.
That does not sound fun to me at all.
Yeah, I first went to college right out of high school, but it was at a community college. So I don't even remember what I did over spring. We probably just like went to each other's houses and partied.
Yeah.
Wait, I wasn't in college then because I only went for that fall semester.
Oh.
But I did. I don't know. It was a weird time. I didn't do spring break. Yeah. I've never done any like crazy things for spring break.
Yeah, and then when I was like between the ages of like 18 and 22, I worked at Blockbuster and I didn't have any money.
Yeah.
Like, where was I going to go?
Same.
You know, so.
I was working at like retail places, so I didn't have any cash or money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the movie that we're going to be discussing today is Point Break.
Mm-hmm.
It is a 1991 movie. It was directed by Catherine Bigelow, who is now a Academy Award-winning director, I believe, for Zero Dark 30. You know that movie?
I've not seen that.
It's about the SEAL team and the woman who caught Osama bin Laden.
Oh, that's
Right.
cool.
Yeah, and it like I never saw it because it came out in 2012, and I got out of the Army in 2011. I was so sick of the war on terrorism.
yeah.
I was like, I'm not watching that fucking movie.
We should watch it though.
Yeah,
Now that
I would
you're
like to see it now.
Removed from that.
But she also did The Hurt Locker. Do you remember that one?
I've never seen it.
It's about the well, I know you haven't seen it, but it's about that bomb tech played by Jeremy Renner.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, that came out a few years earlier, and I really like that movie. She's a really talented director. She was married to James Cameron.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he even helped out with the script. He came up with the idea for the Dead Presidents.
Oh, okay.
Or ex-presidents. Sorry.
I was going to ask who were the writers of this, because it is directed by a woman, but it is written by men for sure.
Yeah. The guy who came up with the idea was a guy named Peter Iliff. And he came up with the idea after seeing that LA was like the bank robbing capital of the world or something like that. And then since they got a beach and all that, he kind of put those two things together.
Oh, okay.
And then Catherine Bigelow worked on the script. But I think this movie, you can see like a woman's fingerprint on this a
yeah.
lot.
I'm actually going to talk about that.
Yeah.
How, because the other day when we were talking about it before we watched it, you said to me like, this was directed by a woman. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then you said, I wonder what it would look like if it was directed by a man. And I was like, that's what I'm going to keep an eye out for. All of those moments where it's like, this is a woman's eye.
Right.
This is from the view of a woman's eye. And so I have some of those little notes in my notes. I have some of those written down so that I can talk about where a woman's eye comes into play, because her eye is all over this.
Oh, yeah.
I
mean, she was in complete control of this movie. And you can tell it, like, what she wanted to make is up there on screen.
Yeah.
I think they cut a little bit, but not that much.
Well, what I'm saying is like even with the cinematography, like she definitely had her fingers deep in that as well, because you can see a lot with the cinematography, how the way she like the way things were lit, she was very specific about how things were shot to give that feminine feel.
I can't speak to the femininity of the shooting, but I mean, this movie looks amazing.
It's beautiful.
Every bit of it, like everything from the fighting, the stunts, just the lighting and the shots. They shot outside a lot. The part where they're surfing at night,
it's during the day and they have like a filter on, right?
They might have a filter, but I don't know how they do day for night, because that's like an old film technique. But that's what it was called. It was called day for night shooting or whatever. But it looked really good. A lot of times you see day for night and it looks like hot shit.
Oh.
But you could tell because you could see the sun.
Yeah.
And you could see their shadows, but it's really difficult to shoot day for night. Also, something that this movie has that not a lot of action movies do have is male vulnerability.
Yeah.
So it shows Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves are very vulnerable with each other. It shows Keanu Reeves attempting to be vulnerable with Lori Petty at different points, but he's like keeping a secret from her because he's an undercover cop.
Yeah.
And he can't blow his cover. But he wants to. He wants to tell her so bad that he's like falling in love with her. And like there's, I guess even between him and his partner, Gary Busey, a little bit. But you don't see that in many action movies. One action movie that does come to mind a lot is Die Hard.
Yeah.
And I love Die Hard.
Who directed Die Hard?
John McTiernan, I think. It wasn't a woman, if that's what you're thinking.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah, but that movie, I've always loved it. I've loved it since I was a little kid. It's a badass action movie. But also over the years, I've noticed that a lot of women really like Die Hard. I've met women who are like, that's one of my favorite movies.
Really?
Yeah. Amanda, who we used to do improv with, she was always talking about Die Hard. She loved that movie. And when I watched it after that, I would kind of notice, like, you know what I think women like about this is they're showing men being vulnerable.
Yeah. And honestly, watching this, like watching Point Break, I really, really enjoyed it. Not just because Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze are in it, because they are very handsome, but it's through like her being the director of this. I mean, there is vulnerability definitely in the script that was written into this, but I think she portrays it also, which makes it feel authentic and real, which I think if someone else, a male, was directing this, you wouldn't see so much of that vulnerability. It would just be passed over.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah.
But I just think, like, I'm glad that we had a Catherine Bigelow direct it, because she probably did lean into this stuff when a male director might not have.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you can't say for sure.
Exactly.
I know. I'm just repeating what you said. But yeah, and that's something I really like about this movie. But back to my Die Hard thing is, in Die Hard, you probably haven't seen it recently, right?
I've watched it pretty recently. I remember it.
But I know I watched it over Christmas, but I think you were cooking. But that movie,
told you I like to cook.
It's Bruce Willis's character. He's just a beat cop. He's not like an action guy, right? And then at first he's kind of a coward and he runs away. And then he starts talking to that cop that's outside, the cop from Family Matters, who's the dad from Family Matters. And they're very vulnerable with each other. Like, I think they even say that they love each other. And he's like, I want you to give a message to my wife. And then it shows Bruce Willis getting beat up throughout the movie and saying, like, I don't think I'm going to make it and shit. Like, it's that level of vulnerability, I don't think I've ever seen in an action movie before that.
Yeah.
Think about all the James Bond movies you've seen. Like, James Bond is always in control. He's always objectifying women. He's like never vulnerable. Yeah. And I think that changed because right after that, you had Lethal Weapon. In Lethal Weapon, one of our favorite actors, anti-Semitic actors, Mel Gibson, he is on the verge of suicide throughout that movie. He wants to kill himself. And it's really interesting to see an action star struggle with their own problems. And this movie is no different. So I just wanted to talk about that.
Cool.
So what else do you have that you want to talk about?
Well, do we want to talk about what things I noticed about the cinematography and everything? So, it's specifically like there's very interesting moments that, like in even the beginning of it, whenever we are first introduced to Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. Patrick Swayze is surfing, so he's soaking wet. Right. And Keanu Reeves is like
getting rained on.
You see this is all, there's this phrase that people keep saying right now. I can't remember what it's called. Like, it's like attraction from a female's perspective and like a male's perspective.
Oh, I've heard female gaze.
That's what it is.
I've been hearing that a lot lately. Yeah.
I was like, what? There's a word. It's female, and I couldn't think of gaze. Gazy, not gays.
I've been hearing that a lot lately. It's kind of interesting to hear.
But the female gaze of this is we see him doing, like, he's shooting targets, which if a guy was directing this, I don't think he would have had him soaking wet. You know, like he would have just been like, oh, like, let's dirty him up and let's have him shoot stuff. So he looks like he's like really good at his stuff. But in this, she has him like he's drenched.
Yeah.
His shirt is clung to him because he's wet. And he's like, so you see his muscles through his black shirt. And like all of that is female gaze.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Having him wet in the beginning, I was like, that's the female gaze. Because I was like, whoo, Keanu Reeves in that moment. Because I mean, it is sexy to see a man like in a shirt but wet.
Right.
Whereas like if a guys would be like, yeah, like he's like ripped and like take his shirt off and like have him shoot stuff so we see his muscles.
Yeah, male gazy would be like shirt off,
dirty,
oiled up.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe dirty, but like Rocky or just any movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger where he's got his shirt off.
Yeah, exactly. That is male gaze.
Yeah,
because thinking of female gaze, females like a little bit to the imagination.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of, what does he look like with his shirt off? I don't know, but I can see like the hint of it. There's another shot.
I'm sure there's more, and I want to hear about it. That beginning, I've never thought anything other than they just wanted to make an interesting looking beginning, right? So they're like, okay, he's going to shoot targets, but how can we make it more dynamic? Oh, he's raining and shooting targets. That's all I would have thought about.
No,
but
I was like, this is sex on screen.
This is why I wanted to watch this movie with you.
Yeah. And then Patrick Swayze, he's like ripping through waves. And granted, it's probably not actually Patrick Swayze because I don't think he could ever surf.
He didn't want to use a stunt double for the surfing.
He
stuff.
learned how to surf.
Yeah, he also learned how to skydive.
I love Patrick Swayze.
Yeah, Patrick Swayze, I don't think people really know. I don't think he was big on interviews, but he was a really intense dude.
Oh, he's amazing.
And
he was amazing. Rest in peace.
For people who don't know anything about Patrick Swayze, he was a professional ballet dancer.
Mm-hmm.
And if
you can see it in this movie.
Yeah, you can see it
in every movie.
The way he moves and the way his body is muscular is like a ballet dancer. But if you don't know anything about ballet, like it's a very, very intense style of dance, and it's very detailed and specific. And when you're a ballet dancer, you don't really do other kind of dance.
Yeah.
You don't have time to do other types of dance. You are just doing ballet because it's so specific and so, what's the word?
Strict.
Strict, maybe. Yeah.
I don't know what you're really.
So, someone who would be a professional male ballet dancer would be a very intense individual, I would think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I've heard that about him. People who have worked with him tell him what kind of dude he is.
But I'm not surprised that he learned how to surf because even in that first shot when he is surfing, he's going through like a tube.
Yeah.
What's what they call them, I guess. I don't know anything about surfing, so surfing terms are going to like not be good in this. Heads up. But get tubular, right? It's when you go through a little tube.
Dude. Yeah.
Okay, so he's going through a tube and he's like bent over backwards, like running his hand in the water. And I looked at it and I was like, is that actually Patrick Swayze or did they like do some kind of editing that made it look like him? Because this was before...
Well, they get stunt doubles that look like the actual actors.
Well, yeah, I know. But he, even like, because whenever that was happening, I was like, is that him? Because it looked a lot like him.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that it is him.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure they did use a stunt double a little bit for the really difficult stuff, but he did do a lot. Keanu and Lori Petty did a lot And I think they said Lori Petty had never even really been in the ocean before.
Really?
Yeah, and Keanu Reeves had never surfed before. But he really liked it and ended up keeping it as a hobby.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So he's coming through these waves. You see him like backlit a lot. There's a lot of backlighting in this movie, if you notice. And it's beautiful to look at. And it's also like, if you notice anything about any of my work that I direct, I love silhouettes. I love the shape, like seeing shapes. And so whenever any kind of backlighting moments, I was like, this is a woman's eye, because women like silhouettes. Women like hints of things.
Well, they also do that a lot to hide stuntmen faces.
When they were playing football.
What do you mean when they were playing?
So during the football scene, they're probably all just playing football. They're probably there's probably not
that is
many
for real. But
stunt doubles.
when you see, like, if you watch Flashdance, there's a lot of backlighting in it because it's not actually Jennifer Beal doing the dancing. It's a stunt double. So they backlight it so you can't see their face.
Yeah.
And so that's probably a lot of what that is.
Yeah.
But also,
but in this,
but everybody likes silhouettes. Like, every director loves to do that.
I know, but I'm just saying, in this moment, the football scene, it's all backlit and it's showing just hints of their body, which, I mean, yes, it's a tactic that tons of directors are going to use. It's not just saying only women use this.
I know.
I'm just saying it's definitely, I think if a male director was directing this, he would have been like, let's have the fire in front of them so we can see them actually playing. They would have done like low lighting, I think, but it wouldn't have been backlit to give that dynamic look that she gets in this, is because it's backlit, which is also very provocative for a female. And like with men, like they would be like, I want to see them tackle each other. And it's like, women, we just want to see like the silhouettes of their muscles moving, you know?
I guess I'm going to have to take your word for that.
So that is my opinion. Like, there's a lot of shots in this where it's definitely a woman's eye. Like the moment when Keanu Reeves and what's her name?
Lori Petty.
When they first kiss and like actually make love, like it's very soft and gentle, which is a female's perspective. Mm-hmm. Because men would have like ripped everything off and be like, rough. It seems in general, maybe. I feel like a lot of times they're kind of sexy kind of scenes when men direct are more aggressive than women's.
Yeah, definitely.
Women have a softer feel for intimacy. And so watching this, like there's a lot of that softness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lori Petty's character, I think, would have been written completely differently if this had been maybe not written differently, but portrayed differently in the movie as more sexy, where she's not sexualized at all in a really great way. She's just like kind of a regular person who just likes to surf. And she's she's also not an adrenaline junkie like the rest. Mm-hmm. She's the voice of reason for Utah, which is a normal thing for a woman to be in a movie. Yeah. Which is a point like, I don't know, guys.
Well, she didn't seem like, I don't know. She was like, I know exactly what they're doing. I just don't want to be part of it.
Yeah. Well, no, she didn't know that they you think
I don't think she knew that they were robbing banks.
No, but she calls them like adrenaline junkies, and she tells them like, don't get caught up in that. Mm-hmm. And she's the one. She's like, I
bet she knew they were into worse things, but she just didn't. She knows they're not doing drugs.
No, I don't know,
like hard drugs, maybe. But like, I don't think she was.
I don't think she really liked being around them, and that's why she didn't continue to date Bodhi.
Yeah,
Patrick Swayze's character is because it's just like this guy is just out of control. All his friends are out of control.
Yeah.
And it's just not something I want to be around. Well, that's why she gets up and leaves at the party. But I think it was written better, even though she is like a typical voice of reason. Her character was written with more depth.
Yes. For
and
sure.
directed with more depth than I think a male director would have done.
Yeah.
And it definitely would have been more of a Pam Anderson type. I'm thinking about her. I'm thinking about Pam Anderson because you're like, Keanu Reeves was wet in the beginning of the movie. And it made me think of this movie Barbed Wire, where the beginning is Pamela Anderson wet. And she's like dancing at a club, and it's awful.
I bet.
It's like, why are they spraying her with a hose? This is weird.
Exactly. But now if it's raining, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that whole movie's terrible, not just the beginning. Yeah. What are some other stuff you noticed?
There was another fight scene which happened in the rain. I can't remember exactly what scene it is.
I guess he was at Quantico for the beginning, but I mean, this movie has a lot of rain for LA.
Exactly. So it's purposeful. But they were like, I was like, men.
Oh no, that's when they're in Australia though, right?
Oh yeah, that is when they're at the end and they're struggling and it's raining and they're like grappling each other. It's low lighting. In Australia, quote unquote. That's sexy. That's woman's gaze.
Okay. You're the expert. I can't argue with that. All right, you have anything else, or you just want to start talking about it?
Yeah, let's start talking about it.
Okay. Hopefully I'll remember some stuff as we're going through this.
I will also say, like, the very first note I made was
what's your very
Swayze
first note?
and Reeves in one movie. I'm in love.
Did you know what this movie was about before we watched it?
No, I had no clue.
Okay, what did you, like 10 minutes in, what did you think we were going to watch?
10 minutes. What happened? I don't know what was happening in 10 minutes. But I noticed that's what we already know, that the 10 minutes in.
Did you, when you first saw the Expresidents, did you know who it was?
I've seen that trope before. Like I've seen like people, I've seen that scene before, like on something, whatever.
But I'm just asking, did you know who that was?
Who each one of them was?
No, not the presidents. Did you know?
No. Yeah, who was
robbing
in the mask?
You knew from the beginning it was Patrick Swayze and his guys, right? Yeah, and I don't think they really try to hide it because, I mean, Patrick Swayze has a pretty distinct voice.
Well,
because he's yelling at
I mean, honestly, in the beginning, they show that, and then it wasn't until the detective was like, "Surf's up," like they were like mocking the other guy about his thing, is really when I was like, yeah, that's definitely them.
Okay.
So.
All right. Yeah, because I've never felt like the movie tried to hide it. For some reason, I think Catherine Bigelow wanted the audience to be ahead of Keanu for some reason, because this movie is not so much like a crime movie as it is like, man, I don't know if there's a name for this trope, but it's like when you find out the teacher or the guru was full of shit. It's like, when you get older and you realize your parents sucked. Yeah. And they made a lot of mistakes. And you're like, wow, when I was like, or just grown-ups in general. Yeah. And you grow up and you're like, wow, that gym teacher was a real fucking idiot. Yeah. That's kind of what this movie really is. Is like he picks up this kind of father figure or like guru type character. And then by the end of the movie, he's like, this guy's full of shit. Yeah. So I think Catherine Bigelow was focusing on that and not trying to make this like some sort of crime drama.
Yeah. And it also allows you to care for both sides. It makes you still care for Patrick Swayze even throughout the whole movie. Like, I mean, granted, I can't hate Patrick Swayze.
Well, you're not supposed to hate him until the end.
Well, and even whenever you're supposed to hate him, it's like, I hate you, but like also I kind of understand what you're coming from.
Yeah.
Like he has a lot of depth to him, and it's not just I'm a criminal.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that was a really, I don't know. I really like that aspect of the movie, that he's not hated at the end. Even like whenever they're in Australia and he's like handcuffed and he's like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Let me take it. And he's like, okay, go to your death.
Yeah.
And it's like,
this part used to drive me crazy when I was a kid.
I know. It's like, he keeps being like, you have to pay your dues. You have to pay your dues. But then he lets him go. And it's kind of like, he let him go, which was really, I liked that he let him go.
Yeah. Yeah. I do now. But when I was a kid, he used to drive me crazy.
Aww.
But, a lot of movies.
Yeah.
As long as they're making you feel something, they're doing their job.
Mm-hmm.
If he went off in there and you're just like, oh, whatever.
It's a bad female
movie.
gaze right here.
Wait, what was I talking about before I got to that?
The guru becomes a jerk.
Oh, right. Yeah, it is like you're with Patrick Swayze through a lot of this movie because they're like, he says he's, a pacifist and nobody ever gets killed when they rob the banks. They're in and out. They just take the money. They don't get greedy.
Yeah.
And it's just because they want to keep surfing.
Yeah.
And then in the third act, you're like, well, Patrick Swayze, man, like things are getting out of control, man. You need to rein this in.
Yeah.
And you are just like, come on, pull back. Just realize what you're doing is getting out of hand. And then he doesn't.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, you're like, you need to pay for what you've done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we've already talked about the beginning. Mm-hmm. And with our wet leads, they're so wet.
I said Swayze ripping through ties and Reeves showing off his back muscles through a shirt in the pouring rain. Ugh. Female gaze.
I love that the people at the FBI are just like, yeah, just wear whatever you want to the shooting range.
I know, yeah.
You don't even need ballistic glasses. Get something in your eye.
Oh, I don't know how that works.
No, they would have made them wear more gear. It's like, yeah, just wear whatever you want.
I was like,
But it was all to serve the female gaze.
Yeah,
but,
it was, yeah.
And
Because if he was
works.
wearing a bunch of equipment, you'd be like, I can't see his muscles.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the point of the rain?
It looks way cooler that way than it would be if he had all that shit on. And then so it punches everybody in the face. So
he's really talented.
Yeah, so that all the mouth breathers and knuckle draggers are caught up. The guy goes 100% Utah, so you know that he hit all his targets. All right. And then it goes to the FBI, and we meet John C. McGinley's character.
Who's his like chief, right? Yeah,
he's like the head guy in bank robbery because he's part of the bank robbery division of the FBI. And they have a whole walk and talk with this guy. And I love John C. McGinley. I want to make sure that's his name. Yeah, John C. McGinley. This guy's a great, like, he delivers dialogue really great. He's quick and to the point. And he says, like, you don't smoke, drink, or anything. And Keanu was like, I take the skin off chicken.
Yeah.
And then he's like, are you receiving my signal? And then Keanu Reeves has got a donut. And he's like, I love these things. And he's like, wow, you're a real blue flame special.
Yeah.
And you see that Keanu Reeves is like, he pushes it. Like he's a wise ass.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like authority.
Yeah.
Right.
Which right before he says that, or is it before he says blue flame special or after?
I think it's after the donut, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. After he says, like, after he has his donut, he says he's young, dumb, and full of cum. And that was the moment I was like, this is written by a man.
Well, you had never heard that
I'd
saying
never heard
before.
that saying before, but I guess that's a real saying.
Yeah, well, I love the dialogue in this movie. This is like quintessential 90s action movie dialogue.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And it's really good. And you didn't know Blue Flame Special either,
No.
right? So in the FBI, this is an FBI thing. I read in John Douglas's book, who's a famous FBI profiler. He says a blue flamer is a new guy, a new FBI agent who's so eager to please his higher ups that he's got a blue flame shooting out of his ass.
Oh. Well, he's not really a blue flame then, because he's not trying to please him.
Yeah, but it's just like a derogatory term that they use. Like, I'm trying to think of something that we called like the newer guys in the Army, but I can't think of anything. Because you fuck with the new guys. The guys who just came out of basic training who don't know what they're doing yet. You mess with those guys. You'll like tell them like, hey, go ask somebody for some PEPSI. And they'll be like, okay. And so they'll go and like, hey, do you have any PEPSI? Spell it. PEPSI. Pepsi. So you'll have them go around and ask different people for that. And they'll be like, no, I don't have any. Go ask this person if they.
Oh my gosh. That's like, there's something similar that we do where that theater used to do. They would tell new people to go wash the gels.
Oh, yeah.
Because gels used to be made of gelatin. That's why they're called gels.
Yeah.
And so they would dissolve. And they'd be like, oh my God. But I mean, gels haven't been made of gelatin for a really long time. So.
Yeah, and you don't wash them, right?
No.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought.
Well, I mean, you could wash gels.
I mean, you would maybe wipe some dust off of them.
Yeah, but the old gels used to be made of actual gelatin. So they would dissolve. So people would go wash them and the gels would dissolve. And they'd be like, oh my gosh, I destroyed it. You know?
Wow.
It was a mean
that's
trick.
a good one. All right. And then we go to meet Pappas, Angelo Pappas, who's played by Gary
That's
Busey.
his partner, right?
Yeah, that's his partner. And what do you think of Gary Busey? Are you a fan?
I don't know. I don't really know him. He has big teeth.
Yeah, he has big teeth. He's kind of a weird looking guy, but I think he is like every movie he's in, he's always value added to me because he's just got like some weirdness to him.
Yeah.
And
he's quirky.
He's quirky, and the way he delivers his lines. And I think I figured out kind of the way he likes to work is he'll come on set, and I've heard on set he's just wacky and weird and just out there.
He seems like he would be.
Yeah, and I think the way he likes to work is like, look, I'll do your line from the script, but you let me do my own version of it.
Yeah.
That's why you get all these weird lines from him that sound like he wrote them.
Yeah.
Like that he says like, you look like hammered shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's one, I can't remember at the pool what he says, but when he jumps in the pool and he screams and like, remember he like jumps on his back?
I don't remember that part.
Yeah, he like jumps in the pool all weird. And I was like, I feel like that
I know what you're talking about when they're diving for they're blindfold diving for bricks.
Yeah. I feel like that was Busey.
Yeah.
It was just in the script for him to jump in the water, but he's like, no, I'm going to do it like this.
I'm going to do it weird.
I'm going to do it weird. I'm Gary Busey.
I could see that.
The ex-presidents are servers.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't seen him in tons of stuff, but what I have seen him in, like, he's a character for sure.
Yeah.
Which I think fit really well for this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he's never a lead. He's always a supporting character because you just can't have that much of him in one movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's great in this. And he meets Keanu Reeves, and he's got his blindfold on, and he's like, I got teamed up with some quarterback punk, Johnny Unitas or something. And then he takes his blindfold off, and he's like, oh, Angelo Pappas. And he goes, quarterback punk. So already they have banter.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it was good banter. It wasn't like against each other. It was like, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it was fun. I like their dynamic in this whole movie.
Yeah, me too. And then in my notes, I put Sway and Kay. So Sway is Swayze and Kay is Keanu.
Yeah.
All right. So then this is our first robbery scene. and I wrote in my notes, like, Swayze's got a really great voice when he yells. Like, he's in there yelling, like, hello, hello, and all that shit.
I don't remember that
You
part.
don't remember?
He's yelling hello?
He goes in there, he's like, hello, hello, we are the Expresidents. And
Oh, I thought you
just-
said... Okay. Yes, Patrick Swayze, yes.
yeah. And so they rob the bank, and then they transition. The guy moons them.
the camera.
Yeah, and it says thank you, and then it transitions from color to black and white, and it's them watching the security video at the FBI.
Yeah, it was a really cool sequence. And in this moment, they're just trying to figure out, like, okay, well, who could these people be? They're starting to go down the list of, like, okay, well, they never shoot anyone. No one ever gets hurt. They're in like
In and out in 90 seconds.
90 seconds, which is a minute and a half. They only go for the drawer. They never go for the vault.
They never get greedy.
They never get greedy. And then these two other guys come up and they start saying, like, surfer terms, like tubular and, like, surf's up, dude. Like, whoa. And Keanu Reeves is like, what's happening? I don't understand. And they're like, oh, you need to tell him your theory, Papas.
And Pappas doesn't want to. He's just like,
Yeah.
whatever, screw it. And then they find out that they found the drop car somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think so they find the drop car and they say, hey, we're going to go on the drop car. So Keanu Reeves drags Papas along to go figure out what if this is the drop car that they dropped, and if there's any evidence left behind.
Yeah. And then I think Pappas says when they're at the bank, he's like, they vanish faster than a virgin on prom night.
Yeah.
Which sounds like another Busey line to me.
Mm.
What did you think of that?
It's I thought that was a male thing for sure. I was like, that's not from a woman's view.
Like, it doesn't make perfect sense. That's why I think Busey ad-libbed it on the day.
Oh, okay.
He's like, they're gone faster than a virgin on prom night.
Yeah.
So, they make fun of Pappas, and then they find the drop car. And another Busey line, I think he says, is Keanu Reeves is like dusting for prints, and he leans in the car and goes, "Are you done in there, Mr. Wizard?" You know what Mr. Wizard is?
No.
He was like the precursor to Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Oh, you used to watch him, right?
Yeah, I loved Mr. Wizard growing up.
He's kind of an old looking.
Yeah, he was an old guy, and there was a viral video for a while. It was like Mr. Wizard's an asshole.
Yeah, and he's
was
like pushing kids. He's a jerk. Yeah, I've seen that.
I love the one where the kid is. They're just out in a field somewhere, and the kid is standing there, and then Mr. Wizard just gets in the car and drives away.
Why does he call him Mr. Wizard then?
Because he was a scientist.
Yeah. Okay.
But he was doing scientist. I mean, that's why I think it was another ad lib from Busey, because it doesn't quite make perfect sense, but it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. If you're curious to see this video, it's funny. Just Google into YouTube.
Mr. Wizard.
Mr. Wizard is a jerk. Mr. Wizard is an asshole, or something like that. It's pretty funny.
So I don't think they really found anything. They did find a hair at the last.
Well, this is the part where like Keanu Reeves like pushes him and like gets him to get mad. You remember that part?
Yeah, he's like yelling at him, like, because he's like, "This is pointless," and then he starts yelling at him like with a very straight face. You said that Keanu Reeves yells. You said Keanu Reeves yells well?
Yeah. Well, no. I said Patrick Swayze has a good voice
okay.
when he's yelling instructions during.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves.
When he yells, it's like, what are you have no emotion behind it.
Yeah. Well, Keanu Reeves, I think, is just a very sweet guy.
Yeah.
And so when they're like, you need to get angry, he's like, okay, I can try that.
Get loud. Because he like the whole time his face was like, I'm very calm and relaxed and like I'm genuine and I'm yelling at you, and that's it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing behind it.
Yeah, I love
Poor
Keanu. I love Keanu Reeves, but I mean, he can't do everything. He's
Yeah.
not one of those actors.
He is not.
He's very good at the roles that he can do, and then when you're giving him something he can't do, it's like
Ooh.
it's Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Is that the one with the boob hair?
Yeah, the one where he has admitted that he's terrible in that movie, and he shouldn't have been cast in it. So even he knows his limitations.
But after this, he's like, okay, I'll tell you my theory that they're surfers.
Uh-huh.
And then they go to this, I guess they're in like an evidence room or something. And they're like trying to figure out like, okay, here's my theory. There was one point where someone like scraped their shoe and they found wax.
Well, I think he said that with the guy who moons, scraped his butt on the counter when he jumped over it, and they found some wax on it, and he becomes an expert on wax.
Yeah.
And he finds the sex wax, and he says like they use it to put on their boards.
So that they get traction.
Right.
And then after he kind of talks all about it, and he talks about like how the chemical compounds could be mustache wax. But he eventually says like it's board wax, and that there was sand also in it.
Right.
It wasn't just board wax, it was sand. And there were some other things that were part of it too.
Yeah, he said like look at the banks that they're hitting in the area, and they're following the waves because you can't just surf in the same spot all the time.
And they also said like when they froze on the butt, they were like, look, there's a tan line.
Yeah, that's right.
And I was like, everyone is tan there probably from
that could be
going
anybody.
to the beach. Yeah.
But yeah, at first like he mentioned stuff that like so what, but then as he goes on, you're like, oh wow, there really is something
Yeah, there is
to
some
it.
things together.
And he says that after the summer's over, they don't rob banks.
They're gone.
Yeah, because they can't surf during that period of time. So he sells them on the idea, and he's like, "Wow, they really are surfers." And then,
Well,
Gary
they're probably going somewhere else to surf,
oh yeah, they could be.
and then robbing over there.
Yeah, they could be going like to, because they talk about being in different countries. Yeah, at that party, we passed it up, but another one of Gary Busey's weird lines is when he gets mad at him. He goes like, "I was shooting at Viet Cong when you were still rubbing crapping in your hands and rubbing it on your face."
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I remember him saying that line. I was like, what?
Oh, and another one was, he's like, I've been in LA a long time. The sex got clean and the air got dirty.
The air got dirty and the sex got clean.
Yeah,
That's
or
what
maybe it was that way. Joliet asked me, what does that mean? And I'm like, don't worry about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, she watched a little bit of it, but not very much.
Yeah, she bailed pretty quick.
So they kind of figured out, okay, well, they're surfers. And then they go to the dock, or some dock.
Well, they decide off screen that Keanu Reeves is going to go undercover as a surfer.
And so they're going to the shop, and because the next scene is like, okay, look, you can, like, it's this little kid, and he's like, there's never too late to try
he
surfing.
says a lot of guys your age are learning how to surf, and he's like, I'm 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, a lot of guys your age. So he's like saying like how old he is to start surfing. And so he gets this really ugly board. It's like green and pink with flames on it.
Yeah, it's got those horrible flames that are on like bikers' wallets and stuff.
Yeah. And he goes out and tries to surf, and he's trying to find a way in because surfers are a big, like they have a tight-knit group.
Yeah, and they're just like anybody who's into something. Like they have a way they speak. Mm-hmm. And, like if you spoke to another person that's in theater, the way they talk, you can tell like,
yeah,
you would know the difference between somebody who does theater and then like someone who was in, a play in 5th grade one time.
Yeah.
And so he's got to actually learn how to surf. And when he's trying to learn how to surf, he wipes out and almost kills himself. And who comes?
I can't remember her name.
Lori Petty.
I can't remember people's names.
Oh, it's okay. Well, you could have said her character's name.
I don't know her character's name.
Tyler.
I couldn't remember her character's name either.
It doesn't matter.
Anyways, set me up for failure.
I thought you were going to say like Kit from League of Their Own or something.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said whenever she first came on screen. I was like, oh, it's...
you said it was Dottie.
Yeah, I said it was Dottie, and you were like, no, it was Kit. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. So I'm really bad with names. So when he asked me for names, I'm like, oh, I don't know. I only know Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves. All of the other people in this movie, I have no clue what their names are.
Yeah. Well, we introduce our female lead in this and love interest, Lori Petty, who you may know from A League of Their Own or Tank Girl or Orange is the New Black. Mm-hmm. She's really good. I like her in everything I see her in.
Mm-hmm. You said except for Tank Girl.
Well, Tank Girl is just a bad movie. It's not like she was doing the best she could.
Yeah.
Trying to make a good movie, but it was just a stinker. And I feel bad for her because that was probably like her chance to become like a leading woman because she was the lead. She usually plays like, supporting roles.
Supporting roles.
But it didn't work out. So anyway, she's got a great voice. I love her voice. She's got short hair. Mm-hmm. And she's a surfer. So she's not just like some, I don't know, beach bum hot girl.
Yeah.
Which I really like about her character.
So he learns about her. He sees her, she saves him. And then he was like, I think she's going to be my way in. And so she leaves. He's kind of spying on her a little bit while she changes. That was another moment. I was like, that was a good way to show like her changing. It was like sexy, but like it was all still hidden.
It was like sexy, but not in an overly sexual.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like she's like putting on her top and then taking her bikini top off underneath it. And then she has a towel over her, putting her shorts on. So you're like, oh, are we going to see something? But we don't, which I was like, ooh, that is female gaze in my opinion.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if that's attractive to men.
Yeah, in a way. And it's cool. I'm attracted to women who are good at things and aren't just beautiful. So like Lori Petty is in a
What are you trying to say, Joey?
Well, what do you mean?
What are you trying to say? I'm kidding. Keep going.
Okay. That you're unattractive, but you're good at stuff? Is that, I don't quite
That's what I'm
understand
asking.
Okay. No, you're the total package, of course.
You better say that.
Yeah. Guys, help me. My wife forces me to say she's the total package. But Lori Petty, I think, was a really great choice for this role because she's an attractive woman, but she's not like a beauty queen.
Yes.
She's not super curvy, and she's got an authoritative voice, and she looks like competent. Like she's good at surfing to the point where you buy her being able to teach Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
So I think really good casting for her. And she's also mean to him at first, which I like too.
Yeah.
Like when she saves him and then just leaves him laying on the beach and is like,
and she's
get
like,
out of here.
Get out of here. What are you doing? Like, you're going to fucking kill yourself.
Yeah. She was like, what are you, crazy? You got no business out here. So then he goes back to the FBI and does research on her. That was weird.
Sorry. So yeah, he does research on her and he finds out that both of her parents have died. And he was like, that's my way in. And so he goes to her, he finds out where she works and he goes there and he orders some kind of fish sandwich or something. But then he's like, you need to teach me how to surf. And she's like, no, Absolutely not. She's like rejection, rejection, rejection.
Yeah, and he feeds her this whole line about like he did everything his parents ever wanted him to do, played football, became a lawyer. Then his parents died, and you can see in her face like, oh my God, my parents are dead.
Yeah, that was like she felt connected to him in that way.
And he's like, this is the first time I've seen the ocean, and I'm going to learn how to surf if I kill myself.
Yeah, and he's like, I want to learn. I've always when I saw it, I was just drawn to it.
Yeah. And also, Lori Petty, he tells her, he's like, I want a tuna sandwich or something. And she goes, a tuna sandwich to go?
Yeah.
She delivered that line so perfectly. I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
So she reluctantly agrees to teach him. Mm-hmm. And then we get a montage of them.
At the beach, like surfers are like looking at her like, what the fuck is she doing?
Yeah.
And he's on a board on the beach trying to learn how to surf. And she officially like teaches him how to get up on the board and actually surf a wave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then this is where finally introduced to Bodhi.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as he's introduced, she tells Johnny, is like, yeah, that's Bodhi. He's even crazier than you.
Yeah.
So they're immediately setting up like what the dynamic is going to be between Johnny and Bodhi.
Yeah.
Which is good writing. Like, don't waste any time. You don't have a lot of time with a movie, even though this movie's 2 hours long. And she says his name is Bodhi because it's short for Bodhisattva or something like that.
I don't know.
Which is a Buddhist character, somebody in Buddhism who forgoed like going to nirvana, or maybe that's Hindu. I don't know. But he said that character in that religion was like, I'm not going to go to nirvana so that I can actually help other people get there. Basically setting up in a weird way, because nobody's going to know what that is, that he's a spiritual guide.
Yeah.
That he wants to lead other people to nirvana. And it also kind of sets up that he's going to sacrifice himself at the end. Mm-hmm. Which is interesting. That's good writing. I like that. I like it when they do stuff like that.
I didn't pick up that.
Well, I was looking for it. I've seen this movie, I don't know, 20 times.
Oh, okay.
And I've never bothered to look at what Bodhi meant. Mm-hmm. And we were watching it, and we had the subtitles on. And so I was like specifically like, I wrote it down so I could research it. Yeah, but this movie, that's one of the things I like about this movie is like you can go a little deeper into it than most action movies. You know, it's not like Commando where you just watch Arnold Schwarzenegger kill people.
Yeah.
For an hour and a half.
So they're talking about Bodhi, and then he kind of like walks up to Tyler, and then you see him kiss her, and you're like, oh shoot, like are they a couple? That's what I thought at first. Mm-hmm. But then she kind of says like, oh, we've known each other for a long time.
You get the feeling that they've had a past relationship.
Yes.
Because they are going to kind of set up a little bit of a love triangle.
Mm-hmm. In this moment, he like notices who he is. And then I don't really know what causes them to start playing football, but then they start playing football.
Somebody throws a football to Bodhi.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And then Keanu Reeves catches it because they threw it over his head. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, okay, let's play some ball. So we have a little montage of them playing football at night. They pull all their trucks up so that they can light it up. And it looks really good.
It's beautiful.
It's very female gazy, according to Aaron. And then
I feel like we would have seen the shot from the truck perspective, even like watching them.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I wouldn't know how I would shoot it. Because I've never shot anything like that.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, it looked really good. This whole movie looks fan-fucking-tastic. I don't think there is one bad shot, and I'll talk about it when we get there. You might know what I'm talking about.
I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Okay. Well, anyway, they're playing football, and Keanu Reeves goes to tackle Swayze, and he's in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that means he's out of bounds. But then everybody is like freaks out and was like, oh, like this guy's.
What are you doing? Like, why would you do that to Bodhi?
Yeah.
And Bodhi like stands up. He's like, no, it's okay. Like, this is the.
It's like, don't you know who this is? This is Johnny Utah. He was quarterback for Ohio State. And
Whatever.
yeah, and he blew his knee out. We found out that Keanu Reeves blew his knee out at the Rose Bowl or something like that.
The Rose Bowl. Seymour, the Rose Bowl. Anyways, and then they keep playing.
That's pretty much the end of that.
Yeah.
And then that's when it cuts back to the FBI, and he's got a surfboard, and they're getting screamed at by McGinley.
Yeah.
And this is pretty much the beginning of Act 2 because we've all the characters have been introduced.
Mm-hmm.
We've got we know exactly where this is going.
Yeah.
He's going to go undercover. So this is the beginning of Act 2.
Yeah. So he's kind of like, this is kind of officially his undercover. He's like, I got to go surf later, and my board's too big to fit in my car, and I can't like shut it all the way.
Right.
So I have to bring it inside. And it seems like they don't actually want them to be undercover.
No, they don't like that. They don't like this idea because they don't believe in the whole surfer part of it. But they set up that he's doing the surfing in his free time, and they're still handling their other caseload, so they're not too upset about it.
Yeah. So they keep and in that scene, there's at the last crime scene, or maybe it was in the car, they found a hair. And they looked at the hair and they found, they were like, you know how there's oil spills? Well, there's certain oil in different parts of the ocean.
Yeah, they think they can figure out which break they surf at because they say surfers are territorial by mashing it up with other hair samples and figuring out which break it is. So they go out there and I really don't feel like this scene is necessary.
Yeah, I don't think it is either.
Yeah, but they go and get hair samples in all these different ways. I guess they thought it was kind of funny, but I didn't think so. I think this is probably one of the weakest scenes of the movie.
Yeah, they're just kind of like going around like snipping people's hair, pulling people's hair out.
Yeah, and Keanu Reeves does Ted.
Yes, I was like, this is a moment where one of the things that I noticed at the beginning, or thought at the beginning of the movie, I was like, why did they choose Keanu Reeves for the cop? Because it didn't make sense to me, especially because he plays this like dude character really well. And so I was like, I don't understand why they put him as that. But then whenever he like started playing up that character, I was like, oh, that's actually a fun little dynamic.
Yeah, well, he plays a cop really well. I mean, just look at in Speed, he was great.
I don't know.
You ever seen Speed?
I've seen parts of it.
Oh, okay. But
That's the bus one, right?
Yeah. But he's played a cop multiple times. He's good at that. And then he's also good at being the bro character.
Yeah, but I was just saying, like, I didn't understand why they chose him over Swayze. But then once the movie got kind of kept going, I was like, oh, I get it now. It makes more sense.
Well, I think Swayze did audition for the lead. I don't think Swayze is a leading man. I don't think he is. I think he's better as a supporting actor. I think Keanu Reeves is more of a leading man. I guess the one exception is Roadhouse. And I've never seen Ghost, so I don't know. But
Dirty Dancing.
He's not the lead in Dirty Dancing.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
She is.
And that's what I mean. And he's really good in that movie.
Yeah.
I think he's just better as a supporting actor.
He's not the lead in Ghost either.
I guess it's Whoopi Goldberg.
No.
Who is it?
Whoopi Goldberg is just like this little side character. It's the female that he's...
Well, you've never seen the movie. You've only seen the musical, right?
Yeah.
No, so
But Whoopi Goldberg played like the psychic.
Yeah, she was a psychic, but I've heard people say it's technically her movie because she may not be the lead, but that doesn't mean it's...
Yeah.
She's the one who undergoes the change at the end of the movie. That's just what I've heard. I don't know. I haven't actually seen the movie. We're not here to talk about Ghost, goddammit.
We should watch it, though.
Yeah, let's watch it. You just want to see Patrick Swayze some more.
Shh.
I want to see... I do want to see it. And I also want to see more Catherine Bigelow's movies.
Mm-hmm.
right? I want you to see Hurt Locker, and I want to watch, what is it called? Blue Steel, I think. It has Jamie Lee Curtis in it. It was the movie she did right before Point Break. But it's a cop movie too.
Okay.
All right. So after the hair, Keanu Reeves is surfing at some break, and
he runs into this guy because it's a specific break because they discovered that the hair belongs to one of the certain breaks. I can't remember what they called it. It was like it started with an L.
Yeah.
But he was like, okay, I'm going to go surf that break and see who the surfers are in that area. So maybe it'll give me a clue. And Papa's was like, make sure you're like keeping an eye out because.
Well, Pappas is backup.
I know he is, but he says like keep an eye out because they'll be really tight knit,
right?
And that's how you'll know that that's probably the group.
Yes.
And so he runs in, like, I guess while he's surfing, he kind of runs in front of another surfer.
Yeah, he collides with another surfer and they sort of get into it, and he cuts the string to his board because your board is attached to your ankle.
Yeah. And I thought he was going to stab him, but he just cut his board away, which I was like, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
At least it didn't kill him. Which I thought was what he was going to do, which I think that was the point.
Yeah, well, they're just trying to set up that this is an unfriendly break. Like in movies, you have to set up certain things.
Yeah.
Like, you know this. But sometimes in movies, they'll set it up literally minutes before they get to the thing that they're trying to set up. So this is a hostile break. And then later when he's rinsing off, everybody shows up.
Yeah.
Because imagine how it would have felt weird if he's about to leave and then four guys are like, we're going to kick your ass.
Yeah.
Right? There has to be something to set up why they want it. I know you know. I'm just explaining for people who maybe want to know more about the filmmaking process.
Yeah. So
I
he
like
runs
talking
into
about
them.
this stuff.
He runs into them and then he cuts his board away. And then Keanu Reeves goes behind a bush to go take a shower because it's out of sight from. But he was supposed to stay in sight, and so he doesn't see him for a little while. And then he sees the four guys kind of pop up, and they're like, "We're these guys, and we're gonna beat you up."
Yeah, he's like, "Let me guess. You guys are gonna tell me to stay off your turf." And Anthony Kiedis from Red Hot Chili Peppers is like, that would be a waste of time.
Is that who that was?
Yeah, well, War Child wasn't, but like the one guy who had long hair and it was kind of like shaved on the sides, weird. That was Anthony Kiedis, the same guy who shoots his foot later in the movie. But then they're like, we're just gonna fuck you up.
Yeah.
And then Keanu Reeves fights back, and they've got him. They're about to like strangle him with his surfboard cable or whatever you call that.
Yeah, but the Papa's sees one of the guys like fly or like get kicked back or something. And so he's like, oh shit, something's going down. So he's trying to run down and he's like crossing a highway and like trying to get to the beach, trying to get to Keanu Reeves. And the other guys have his board cord around his neck. And so they're like trying to strangle him. And then someone comes up behind them, and I guess I don't remember what he does. I think he like just hits him in the head or something.
I don't know.
Karate chops him.
I don't know, but Patrick Swayze shows up.
Yes.
And he's like, hey, back off, War Child. And then he gets him to back off because he's Mr. Zen or whatever.
But they also fight each other.
Yeah, but then Keanu Reeves says to one guy, he's like, what's your name? And then he tells him, and I forget exactly what the exchange is, but then he hits that guy. So then they have to start fighting again. And Bodhi joins in.
Yeah.
And so they beat up those guys and they walk off. And then on their way out, they run into Pappas.
Yeah. And you're thinking like, oh, shoot, he's going to like
blow his cover.
But he says like, did you see some guys run by? They stole my wallet or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was his car stereo.
Oh, yeah. They stole my car stereo. And so Bodhi doesn't think anything of it.
Yeah, he says, I hope you find them.
Yeah. And I guess they go to do they go to his house after that?
No, they walk down. They're walking to the car, and we start to find out what Bodhi's all about. Like he's like
this. I'm about.
He's like he says those guys don't get it. Mm-hmm. They're very aggressive, and they don't understand like the spirituality of the ocean and all this other stuff. And Keanu Reeves is like, "Are you going to start chanting or something?"
Yeah,
and
he said, "I might."
Yeah, but I really like his read on it. The way Swayze laughs and says he might is like really natural.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I think Patrick Swayze is really in his element in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's like he thinks about surfing the way he does about ballet or something. Mm-hmm. Or maybe he was just really into this character. I don't know. But I think Patrick Swayze is acting his ass off in this movie. Mm-hmm. And it feels it doesn't feel forced.
Yeah.
Or like he's trying
He's
too
doing
hard.
a really great job in this movie.
Yeah.
So he kind of tells him what surfing means to him, and he's like, "You should come to a party tonight. We have this thing. We're gonna have a party. You should come by." Mm-hmm. And so he was like, "Ask Tyler about it. She'll bring you there."
Yeah.
So he goes in his car, and then he meets back up with a cop, and they follow the what is his name?
War Child.
They follow him through they follow their car, their Jeep back to their house, and they're like swerving all over the road. And you can tell like
they're being real bad guys.
Yeah, bad boys. bad boys.
So since they've got the hair from matched up to that break and everything, they're like, "Oh, these are our guys. So we're gonna, stake them out." Mm-hmm. And then those two FBI guys who were making fun of him earlier show up, mm-hmm. and they're night shift. And then Gary Busey hands him a pizza. He goes, "Here, it's cold pizza. It's good for breakfast."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I love cold pizza."
So he tells Patrick Swayze, like, make sure you get up make sure you get a lot of rest because we have the sting in the morning. They said that they're gonna go after War Child.
Yeah. You mean Keanu? You said Patrick Swayze.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But Papas tells him to get a lot of rest.
Yeah, but he goes to the party anyway with mm-hmm. Tyler. And there at the party, we learn more about Bodhi and his crew and that they're adrenaline junkies. Mm-hmm. And I like that one surfer's little monologue mm-hmm. where he says his balls were this big.
Yeah.
You remember that? Yeah. It was pretty bad.
I didn't really know what they were talking about.
He was talking about catching like a huge wave.
Oh, okay.
And that guy's monologue was pretty bad though, I thought.
Yeah. So something happens and he walks down.
Well, first, this is when they set up the thing about the 50-year storm mm-hmm. in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So that way at the end of the movie, you're like, where did this whole thing come mm-hmm. from? Right? This is what I was saying earlier about this movie is really good at setting up stuff mm-hmm. and knocking it down in a way that you don't even really realize you're noticing it. But they set that up and that comes back into play and you completely forget about it. But Tyler is just like, these guys, they drive me crazy. So she leaves.
So she leaves. She goes downstairs and then Utah follows her. And then that's when Swayze's like, "Hey, we're going to go night surfing." And he's like, "That's going to fucking kill me." And he was like, "I can barely surf when I can see." And he's like, "No, you just feel the waves. You'll get it."
Right.
And Tyler goes with them. So they all board up and get ready to go surf. And then they're out in the water and they have this, it's pretty cool. I mean, you can tell that it was like day for night.
Yeah, but it looks really good.
Yeah, it looks really awesome. And they're surfing on the waves, and
there's a part where they're waiting for their. I think in surfing you have to wait for like 3 waves to come in a row, mm-hmm. and you're supposed to catch the middle one. But they're waiting on their boards for the waves to come, and Patrick Swayze is like telling us like, okay. When the wave comes, you feel its energy mm-hmm. or something. Like he's like telling them all this guru stuff.
Yeah.
Like not about like don't jump up at the right time. It's about like energies and mm-hmm. feels and whatever. I'm not a very spiritual person, so I'm bad at saying stuff like this.
I get what you mean though. And Keanu Reeves goes on this wave and he feels it, and him and Patrick Swayze ride the wave together. And like you can see, like he's like, I did it in the dark.
Yeah, he's saying like, I'm fucking surfing.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to realize like, okay, he finally gets the spiritual side of
and he's
surfing.
also becoming more invested in surfing. He's not, it's not just his gimmick anymore for being undercover.
Right. And this also in the, it comes up. I was going to say in the previous scene, it shows him like falling in love with Tyler because he wants to go hang out with her instead of the surfer guys. But then after they night surf, they're in the water and they start kissing. And, and I really like, what did you think about?
I was like, I understood because like in that moment, like there's all of that adrenaline, and it was a really great scene because the other people like went inside the shore and they were like, hey, we forgot some people. And he was like, just leave them. They'll come in. And they're out on the water together, like floating. And they have this like exchange of like, I understand more so like why this is so important to people. Like surfing is so important. And she kind of sees him. She tells him how this is the first time she's actually seen him genuinely smile. Yeah,
right. She that was the part I was trying to remember. Is she says like that weird look of control, like trying to be in control, is gone. Like I've never seen you actually happy or not have a care in the world.
Yeah.
And then this is sort of when we find out that they are falling in love because he like starts to take care of her and he's like, you're cold or whatever, which I think they added in because the water was probably cold.
Yeah.
And you could see her chin shaking, but it added to the scene by accident, I think. And he cares for her now.
Yeah. So they go into the shore and then in the shore, they make love. Sweet, sweet love.
Sweet, passionate, sexy, sexy love.
Which you don't really see anything, which was really pretty. It was good.
It's all post-coital. They just wake up the next day.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, they did it. And Keanu Reeves is like, oh, shit, I'm late. And he says, like, it's for court because he said he's a lawyer.
He's got a case.
Yeah, but we found out, well, we already know it's about the drug bust.
Yeah.
Or not a drug bust. They think they're busting the ex-presidents.
But he gets up and you can see in that moment, like, even though he's like, shit, I'm late. He's like, I want to kiss her more. I want to be with her more.
Yeah, he doesn't want to leave her, but he's got to.
Yeah.
So this is another point in the movie where I was like, he just shows up in his street clothes to this bus, and I was like, okay, the FBI just lets you wear whatever.
Yeah. So he's at this bus, and I mean, granted, the other guy's wearing like, well, he's undercover, like walking through the streets, so never mind.
Yeah.
But they go to their house, and their Papa's is like going through being like, hey, I lost my dog, trying to get a way in. And then there's two other cops like on the back door, and Keanu Reeves is on the side of the house watching in.
Through a dentist mirror.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, okay, dentist.
Yeah, and here's another interesting setup moment is he's out there and you hear something loud start up and he almost pulls his gun and he looks over. It's like, oh, the guy's mowing his lawn because the lawnmower is going to come back just in another minute.
Yeah.
Right. That's filmmaking 101, people. If you're going to write a movie.
Yeah. So he's at the door now, and one of the guys comes into this guy's room, and he's like, hey, there's someone at the door. Like, we got to hide our stuff. And he's like yelling at him like, something's up. And
they think it's the cops. And I don't know if they saw some guys outside or not. The other two FBI agents.
No, they were like, I'm going to go check out the back door. And so he went and checked out the back door, and Keanu Reeves is seeing all of this. So he's like, oh shit, we need to tell. I need to tell Papa's and everyone else that to call it off because don't draw their guns because they are pulling out an arson of guns, of weapons.
Yeah. So, but
like automatics.
Yeah, but nobody can hear over the lawnmower.
Yeah. So he's trying to talk over this, but like they're like, the damn lawnmower.
Yeah. He's like, tell him not to pull his badge. But he does anyway. And a
shootout starts to happen.
Yeah, and a shootout starts to happen. And there's a woman in her bra and panties. Mm-hmm. And then there's also
she's the one who answers the door.
Yeah, she's the one who answers the door. And Pappas like pushes her out of the way and shoots a guy. Mm-hmm. And then Keanu Reeves goes in, and Anthony Kiedis shoots himself in the foot. Mm-hmm. And I love the way that squib looks. They put a squib inside an old shoe, and it looked really good. Keanu Reeves gets in a fight with a naked woman who just got out of the shower.
That was an interesting scene.
Yeah, but I like that it didn't feel sexual.
No.
It just felt like, oh, this crazy woman was just taking a shower.
Well, also like, at this house, it was probably like these ladies were probably like doing drugs, having sex. Like that's what they were like portraying. So like her being naked kind of puts into that like, oh, like they just had sex. So she's like, I'm going to go shower.
Like showering after sex. Yeah. I didn't think about that, but you're probably right. And then the scuffle goes outside and Keanu's wrestling with a guy and he's about to shove his face into
the lawnmower
that was previously set up. And then Pappas comes and shoots it so that it turns off. And then he leans over and tells the guy to speak into the microphone.
I don't remember that part.
Which is weird because a gun's not a microphone. Mm-hmm. Probably another Gary Busey line.
Yeah.
So then we find out that those guys were drug dealers, and
there was a guy at the beginning when they were looking in, and he was like pouring cereal for himself. And even when they came in, he was like, no, like trying to get them to stop. And then we find out after all of this has gone down that he was undercover. He was about to bust them.
Yeah, he was a DEA agent. And what he was trying to do was find out who was supplying them. Yeah. Because they're just small-time drug dealers. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to find out who's giving them drugs.
Yeah.
And so Reeves and Pappas, like, screwed it up for him.
Yeah. And I made the comment of, like, well, wouldn't they, like, talk to each other? They should have looked into more of this. Like, oh, well, he has drug charges. Do they have anything with the DEA? And they could probably could have seen like, oh, there's already a cop there who's checking them out. So they probably aren't.
This is like, you could say this is a discrepancy in the film, but they're the FBI and the DEA and a lot of law enforcement
don't communicate. But also at the same time, like Keanu Reeves is this pit bull like character who's a control freak and thinks he's right about everything. Yeah.
Right? So them going after these, and they're under a time crunch from the FBI because they don't like that they're working this case.
Yeah.
So you can kind of chalk it all up to that. So it makes enough sense for you not to bump you, but I can understand how somebody would be like, what?
Yeah.
But anyway.
So they kind of get in trouble for all of this.
Yeah, they get like McGinley shows up and chews them out for it.
Yeah.
They're at the thing. But then Swayze, they go surf with Swayze and Tyler, right? Mm-hmm. And he sees them all surfing together. And he like all of a sudden has an epiphany.
Yeah, that's like immediately after he's like, I gotta get away from here. I'm gonna go surf with Tyler and Bodie. Uh-huh. And he sees them surfing together, and he sees one of them moon the other group. And he's like, it? Yeah, he moons them, and he was like, oh my gosh, those are the guys. Those are the surfers.
Yeah,
my friends are the surfers that are robbing everyone.
Yeah, because he remembers Pappas telling us like they're gonna look like they work as a team, right? And so then he tails Bodie all day, and this all happens off screen. He just tells Pappas about it later. He's like, I followed him here to this bank, and he's like,
he went in for like 20 minutes, and he was And so there was this car checked out the front, and they were just scoping the place out.
Yeah, and then they went home and they started packing up all their stuff. Like they're going to leave town.
Yeah.
So he's like, these are our guys. Like, I've never been more certain of anything. And we as the audience, we already know.
Yeah.
Right? And then it goes back to Bodie, and he's like, we got to, no, this doesn't happen yet. Sorry. But anyway, so they go and they stake out the loan saving and trust or whatever it is. And this is one of my favorite scenes. It opens and Pappas is reading the funny page.
Yeah.
And he's like, this Calvin and Hobbes is hilarious.
Gosh. And there's another line you love in this movie from this scene.
Yeah. Hey, Utah, give me 2. He tells them to go get them meatball sandwiches. This is a joke.
And he's like, I'm so hungry I could eat a rhino's.
The ass of a dead rhino.
Yeah.
Gross.
Disgusting.
Yeah, that might have been a Busey line. But when I was in the Army, there was this guy who was like pretty much the complete opposite of me.
Mm-hmm.
He was some like redneck guy from Florida.
Yeah. And
we didn't have anything in common, but we worked together. And the only thing that we could ever agree on was like Point Break is a badass movie.
Yeah.
And we would always say that to each other, like, hey, give me 2. So he goes to get those sandwiches in the car with the I keep calling them dead presidents.
Ex-presidents.
Yeah, the ex-presidents. Dead Presidents is a movie. But anyway.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, of course you haven't. So the car pulls up, they get out, but Keanu and Pappas don't see it because they're busy ordering sandwiches and reading the funny page. And then he brings back the sandwiches.
Well, and then Keanu's like, well, did you see that Lincoln pull up? And he's like, what Lincoln?
Yeah.
So Keanu Reeves saw them pull up, but he didn't
see him get out.
Yeah, he didn't see anyone
because a bunch of guys in president masks got out. But yeah, and then he gets back and he realized that Pappas wasn't paying attention. And then he sees them get back in the car.
Yeah.
And then
they chase him.
Yeah, well, they see that Keanu Reeves sees them. Mm-hmm. And one of the guys is like, I'm going to shoot him. But Patrick Swayze hits his gun away and goes, no, don't shoot him.
Yeah.
And they run. And Keanu Reeves fires at him as they drive away.
Yeah, and he breaks their back mirror or window.
Yeah. And then they pull up at a gas station to ditch that car and get another one. And Swayze...
He like lights the gas gun.
Yeah, whatever.
It's called on
nozzle,
fire.
Filler nozzle.
Yeah, nozzle. And he's like spraying the fire gas all over the car.
And it
was really cool looking.
It looked cool as shit. Yeah. They did it in slow motion and like I don't know how they did it because gas would not burn like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they used, how they did it, but they had some serious pyrotechnic guys working on that. And he torches their old car, and they're like, "What's taking them so long?" Mm-hmm. And he wants to fuck with Johnny, right?
Yeah.
So he wants to toy with Johnny, and Johnny comes in, like dives over the car and tackles him, mm-hmm. and the car pulls out, and they're just left alone because I think Pappas goes after the car, maybe.
Yeah, he starts driving after the other car. Oh no, yeah, he starts driving after the other cars. And Patrick Swayze is being chased by Keanu Reeves throughout all of these areas.
This is the famous foot chase. Mm-hmm. This is probably the most famous scene from this movie. But what did you think of this scene?
I thought it was really cool. It was really cool to see them like hardcore all over the parkour all over the place. It was really fun to watch.
Yeah, and it was like, if they did that today, it would be a bunch of parkour.
Yeah,
but back then it was just like jumping over fences and running, and like Keanu Reeves falls through a plate glass window at one point.
Yeah, and there's even like all of the little moments that happen in between on each different place. Like some of them have interesting like things that are happening to them. Like he steps in water in one of the kiddie pools. And like, so it's just dynamic. It's not just like running.
Yeah. And a woman beats Keanu with a vacuum. And then my favorite part
when
is
the dog.
he picks up a dog.
a huge dog that he would not be able to throw.
Yeah. But also I just like that. The part we didn't see where Swayze's like, oh, nice doggy. And he picks him up and just waits like, hold on, little buddy. And then throws him. And I read online that dog was not harmed. The dog was fully okay with a stunt. And like they only threw him like a foot.
Yeah.
And then Keanu Reeves, when they changed the direction, when they changed the angle of the camera, Keanu Reeves just has a
stuffed dog.
Yeah, like a stuffed dog
you can
that
tell.
He throws and kicks. And there's a little...
Yeah, it was really funny.
Yeah, that was the worst shot of the movie that I was talking about.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But whatever. It's in the middle of a really great sequence. So then they run and they jump over some more fences, and it ends at the LA River.
Yeah, and Patrick Swayze jumps down, and he's running, and he's starting to climb this fence, and Keanu Reeves jumps down, and he hurts his knee because the reason he didn't go pro in football was because he hurt his knee when he was playing football.
Yeah, so he sort of
at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, he flares up an old injury,
which is something they brought up earlier in the movie.
Yes, when they were playing
Good
football.
job.
That's filmmaking. You got to set your stuff up, guys. So then Swayze turns around and looks at him, and they have this intense stare down for a second, and they know who each other are at this point.
Yeah.
So Reeves doesn't want to shoot him, so
he shoots up in the air.
Yeah. So
and he yells, "Ah!" and shoots in the. I was like, why is he shooting up in the air?
So I don't know if it was just because he was frustrated.
I know why.
Why?
I didn't know why in that moment, but then in the next scene, he's told by what's his name. He's like, "You missed. You never miss."
Yeah.
So this whole time, like they've always been setting up that he's a 100% shooter. Like he always gets a shot, and he purposely missed. He like shot up in the air, so he definitely couldn't have hit him. And they're like, "Well, how could you have missed? You've never missed." So they're bringing that back around. Like you're getting too close.
Okay.
So that's what they were setting up.
That's what I think.
I think he was like, I have to fire so it looks like I shot at him.
Right.
Even though I
have to
didn't.
come back with fewer bullets.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I used to just think it was like, oh, he's just mad. It's like when you get mad and you like hit your car door or something like that. I thought it might have been like that, but also it's like I have to make them think that I tried to kill this guy. Yeah. Which I don't think you should. I mean, the guy just robbed a bank. You shouldn't have tried to kill him anyway. Yeah. But whatever. So yeah, you already explained the next scene, and he tells him to go home because he looks like hammered shit. Because
he's all beat up.
Yeah, and I put in my notes the part you just talked about. Pappas hits us over the head with a plot that he's getting too close, and then Tyler is like cleaning up his wounds, like the little scrapes on him. Yeah. And he tries to tell her.
He wants to tell her so bad. Yeah. And she tells him another time. Right. And so...
Is this female gazy to you? This part?
Her saying like another time?
Yeah, because they start kissing after that. Right?
I mean, it was not...
All right.
I don't know.
I was just wondering. I like that part.
Yeah, it's a nice part. I wouldn't say like it's shot in any way that's like, but she has the choice of saying like, you can tell me another time. It's okay. Right. And it is an intimate like moment. And then he wakes like the next thing that happens is he's waking up to her shooting the pillow next to him. Right. So she's like, "You're a cop. You work for the FBI. Like your parents are even dead." And so she's found him out because she throws his badge at him. Yeah.
But just before that, we get the bonfire scene where the ex-presidents are talking and they're saying,
Oh
like,
yeah.
They found us out. We need to get the hell out of here.
Mm-hmm.
This is getting scary. And then,
Patrick Swayze, like the one guy's like, I can kill him. Let me kill him.
yeah, and Patrick Swayze is like, no, we just need an insurance policy.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know what that means. But then the next day, and then that's when she shoots the pillow. And then they come to pick him up
Yeah.
to do something. And they don't tell him what. And all the time you're thinking like, okay, what's this insurance policy?
Mm-hmm.
But they go skydiving. And
you think the insurance policy is like, you think they're going to kill him.
you think they're going to take out a life insurance policy and then
Kill
kill him in the line of duty and collect the money and then
Yeah.
keep surfing.
But they are like, hey, we're going to do something. And Keanu Reeves knows that they know him because like they sat there and watched him. So he knows he's found out.
Right.
I don't understand why I understand why he kind of goes with them because like they invade his space. They're putting on this show that like they saw your face.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's kind of this weird cat and mouse game where it's like we don't want to reveal that we're the ex-presidents yet because this is the one little thing we have on you. Is like you can't come after us when you're not on duty.
Yeah.
So they go over there and they're like,
Is that a thing?
I don't know. That's kind of the way my read on the movie.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
he can't just like haul him in when he hasn't been told by his superiors like, oh yeah, go find these guys
Yeah.
and haul them in. So I think it would kind of be like the other day you said like you can't discipline a kid for something they did off school grounds
Yeah.
when we were watching some movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of think it's like that.
Okay.
But anyway, it's a movie, so who cares? So they go skydiving, and it seems all right. And they switch back.
Well, yeah, they give him his
chutes.
backpack, and he's like, "Who packed my chute?" And he's like, "I did. You don't trust me? You can have my backpack." And then they all like start switching backpacks. So it's just like they definitely didn't do that to your backpack.
Yeah, well, this is what they're trying to build the tension because they're trying to make the viewer think like, oh, they're going to take him skydiving and his chute's not going to open, right? So, but they go skydiving and his chute does open,
Yeah.
and he's like, "This is the greatest thing ever." And the aerial photography in this scene is beautiful. I love it. And Patrick Swayze learned how to skydive for this.
Yeah.
He did like 55 jumps
Wow.
so that he could have his face in this scene. And it's very easy to tell like the scenes where like they do a close up on Keanu Reeves, but it's just they got a fan underneath them like blowing his hair up. But I still think it looks pretty good even though you can't tell.
Yeah.
And they land in water, and I don't know how they got back to the airport. It looks like they just walked holding their parachutes. So
I don't know.
I don't know either.
There's probably like some kind of vehicle to pick them up.
Yeah, probably. I assume so. I've never been skydiving.
Me either.
You ever want to go skydiving?
I used to want to really bad, but as I've gotten older, I'm like, ooh, I don't know.
I tried to go airborne when I was in the Army. That's the whole reason I went to Fort Bragg, because I wanted to try to be an airborne paratrooper. But I broke my leg like 2 weeks after I got there.
Oh, is it your thigh?
Yeah, my femur.
Oh.
And I had to have surgery on it. And
That's
I
sad.
never ended up going. I don't care. It's not really that big a deal.
Yeah, I always wanted to, but it's a little scary for me.
Yeah, it's scary as shit.
Yeah.
But
I might one day want to do it. I don't know.
yeah, we could do it for a big anniversary.
Oh, we could. That'd be scary. I don't know. I'm nervous to do that.
Yeah.
But I would do it.
Yeah, maybe when Joliet's an adult,
Yeah.
so we don't orphan our own child. But then we find out what the insurance policy is. He plays a tape for him, and they have kidnapped Tyler and this guy Rosie, who's a part of their crew, which I think is funny. His name is Rosie. Is like he will kill her. Rosie's a machine. He's not a spiritual surfer guy like the rest. He's like the guy who they use when they need someone to do,
Things that they don't want to do.
Right. Exactly. And he says, 6 hours from now, if I don't show up in the right place at the right time, Rosie's going to kill her.
Mm-hmm.
And so Keanu Reeves gets pissed off and like slams him up against the thing. He's like, you call it off right now.
Yeah.
I'm Keanu Reeves and I'm mad, dude.
Call it off.
Called the off. Tell Rosie to call it off.
Okay.
That's pretty accurate, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good. So he says, you're losing time. And he's like, I was thinking the same thing. And so they take him in the van to, and they're going to go rob a bank.
Yeah. And also, do you think there's been a change in Keanu Reeves at this character at this point? Where
No.
he's not the like control freak pit bull character that he set up to be earlier in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, look, I just have to keep them from harming Tyler.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go with you to rob this bank.
I'll do whatever you need me to do so I
Yeah.
can get her.
I think there's a
Safe.
big change in him in the third act
Mhm.
that I like. That kind of shows like,
There's a change in a lot of characters in the third act.
oh yeah, and I mean, obviously the biggest change is Swayze because he's lost his calm Zen demeanor, and he's thrown every rule he has out the window.
Yeah.
He's starting to hurt people, shoot people, just
Yeah.
be a
So
complete piece of shit.
they go to the bank and Patrick Swayze gives everyone a president's mask. I wanted to ask you, if you had to choose a president to be dressed up as to rob a bank, what president would you choose?
Well, Donald Trump, of course.
That's a good one.
He's the biggest crook president we've had.
Not all the
No,
presidents.
but actually, I really think it would be like Millard Fillmore or something like that.
Why?
I don't know. I just like his name. Maybe a Rutherford B. Hayes. Who would you pick?
So the thing is like the presidents that they chose weren't all bad presidents.
What do you mean?
Like they were just ex-presidents. I didn't understand what they meant by just ex-presidents.
Well, I think they did the last four presidents.
Okay.
So it was 1990 when they shot the movie.
It was
and
Bush.
So Bush was in office. So the president right before him was Reagan. And then right before that was...
Was Patrick Swayze was dressed as Reagan.
Yeah. Patrick Swayze was Reagan. And then before that it was...
LBJ.
Carter.
Carter.
Then Nixon. Then LBJ. Yeah, I think. I might have Carter and Nixon mixed up. But I'm not sure. Carter was a one-term president.
But yeah, you choose. Who did you choose?
Millard Fillmore. Who did you choose?
I probably choose Donald Trump because he is the biggest crook of all the presidents. Or Nixon, but Nixon would be that big nose. I loved that character, like especially with like his.
I am not a crook.
he kept running around being like, oh.
Yeah, he was the only guy who was like doing a voice.
Yeah, it was really funny. I liked that character whenever he was putting on the mask, how he was creating a character for it.
Yeah, George W. Bush would be a real fun one because he was always flubbing stuff.
Oh, that would be funny.
All right, everybody, now get down on your
Get down on your hands and knees.
We're just gonna practice our love here in the bank. Yeah, no, I'm gonna get out of here in 90 seconds because fool me once,
Shame on you.
shame on me. Rob a bank, you got to do it in 90 seconds or less.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, that would be a good one. George W. Bush would be a funny one.
Yeah, just to do the
Because I would hate to be dressed up as like an orange Donald Trump.
Yeah, and also like I think George W. Bush. Well, he was like a bad president and a Republican. I mean, he seems like a pretty likable guy.
Yeah, he's not a horrible person. And,
Yeah.
like genuinely not a bad person.
He should have just never been
stupid.
president.
And not a
Yeah.
great president. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
And then they break the rule and they go for the vault.
Yeah, he's like, go for the vault. And he's like, we never go for the vault. And so they're breaking all of these rules. And you see the security guard there is laying down beside this guy, and he shows him that he has a gun, and he's like, I'm an off-duty cop. I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna shoot at him, and I need you to back me up. And he's like, no, please don't do that. Please don't do that. So he pulls out his gun.
Yeah, but he does it anyway.
Yeah.
And he shoots one of the ex-presidents. He shoots Keanu and Swayze, but they've all got vests on.
Yeah, the one of them that he does shoot, he shoots him in the neck.
Yeah, so it misses
So it
his
does
vest.
it misses his vest. Everyone else he shoots in the chest, and it hits their plate.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and then Swayze gets up after being shot, and he shoots the off-duty police officer.
And this is the first time he's ever killed anyone.
Yeah, he's the first time he's ever killed anybody. This is the first time he's gone for the vault. Like, he's just going down in flames. And this is what I was saying earlier about, like, this is the movie about the guru who you find out later is not really a guru.
Yeah.
He's just, he's been using this philosophy to abuse people.
Yeah.
Right? And then they leave one of the ex-presidents there, and they knock out Keanu so he can take the rap for the bank. And then that's when McGinley shows up.
Especially because they show that they don't give him a mask. They're like, sorry, you don't get a mask. We don't have any more.
Right.
Uh-oh, you have to go without one. So everyone sees who he is.
Right. Exactly. So hopefully, I guess the end game is that they'll think that he was one of the bank robbers the whole time, maybe. I'm not sure. But then Pappas comes and he's like, let me take him in, you know, because he's under arrest. And then he's like, he unlocks his handcuffs and he's like, okay, we're going to go after them and try to intercept them.
Because Keanu's like, I know where they're going. And he's like, I figured you did.
Right. Yeah.
So they go to the airport where they're about to take off. And so of the 4 people that were in the van with them, one of them is dead. So there's only 3 of them left.
Right. Yeah. And then Keanu tries to talk some sense into Bodhi and is like, look, you've won. I'm not here to shoot you or take you in. Just, you know, let Tyler go and you can get out of here. But he won't do it. And Pappas is backing him up. And then one of the ex-presidents comes out and sees him there. So he shoots at him.
Yeah.
And a big shootout erupts. And then
all of them are, so he's shot and killed. And then there's one of them that was helping him load the...
right, the guy with the mustache, I think.
He was shot and killed for sure.
He was killed.
But the one that killed Pappas, he was just shot.
Yeah.
And so he hasn't been killed yet. And he drags him onto the plane.
Right.
And then Keanu Reeves is also on the plane with them.
Yeah.
And they take off because the police are showing up.
Yeah. And they're putting on their parachutes and he's like, I'm cold. The guy who got shot. And Keanu's like, you're cold because your blood's leaving your body.
You're about to die.
Yeah, you're about to die. And Swayze's like, don't listen to him. He's just scared. And then he's like, look, you've gotten away. Just call Rosie.
Yeah.
What if your parachute doesn't open? And then he's like, nope, sorry. So they jump out of the plane and Keanu decides to jump out without a parachute. Right? What did you think of that? Do you like that?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool.
What did you think was going to happen?
I figured he was going to jump on the dead body and then use his parachute.
Oh, okay. So you saw it coming?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he jumps out of the plane but I thought he was going to go for the dead guy because he's pretty much dead. And especially going out of like high flying through the air, that's probably going to make your blood come out of you faster. So he probably died as soon as he fell out the back because he rolled out the back.
There's higher pressure, so that would squeeze your blood out faster, maybe. I don't know.
So he's like going down to the ground and Keanu Reeves jumps out and he gets to Bodhi and he's holding on to him and he has a gun in his hand and he's like,
He's
pull
like,
pull the chute, pull the chute. And he's like, you have to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And he's like giving him a countdown. So there's that ticking clock of like, okay, you got 5 seconds, 4 seconds.
It's tense.
Yeah. And so he's like, you got to drop the gun or you got to and pull the chute or because I'm not going to pull it. And so he has to drop the gun to pull the chute.
Yeah.
Because if he pulls the chute and keeps the gun, he has nothing to hold on to.
Right. Yeah. So
Or with.
they're too heavy for that chute, so they hit the ground really hard, and it fucks up Johnny's knee.
Well, I think
again.
it was also that they were too low. Like it took him a long time to pull the chute.
Yeah, probably both. But the real important thing is like it fucks up Johnny's knee again.
Yeah.
And so he can't run after
Swayze.
And Sway, he's like, you're not going to get your man today.
Mm-hmm.
But Tyler is there and is released. And so she and Johnny are now reunited.
Mm-hmm.
And
it feels so good.
And it feels so good. But we get nothing else about Tyler. It's like, is she okay? How is she dealing with this? Is she mad at
Well, they
Johnny?
kiss, and so she doesn't seem that mad.
Yeah.
I think she's just happy not to be kidnapped.
Yeah. But I always thought that her part got ended a little, like, there needs to be some little cap off to what she dealt with.
Like, she could have been at the beach with them.
Yeah, maybe.
At the end.
Could be.
I don't know.
Yeah. But the movie was running long. I bet they had something.
Yeah.
But anyway, it cuts to Australia. There's a big storm coming in, and Keanu is at Bell's Beach, I think it was called.
Mm-hmm.
And he runs into Bodie, and he's like, I knew you'd be here. He's
Yeah,
like,
because there's the 500-year storm, or 50-year storm.
50-year storm. And he's like, I've waited my whole life for this. And he's like, it doesn't matter. You got to come in.
Mm-hmm. And he's they wrestle each other.
Yeah.
And they're soaking wet in the rain. And he's trying to he's trying to drown Keanu Reeves. And Keanu Reeves handcuffs them together so he can't leave.
Right.
Which I'm like, Patrick Swayze could totally take him out to the ocean with him.
No, I don't think it would work. It would be like, when a little kid does that anti-lift slide and they put their hands up like, they just sandbag you. It would be too hard to surf like that. Mm-hmm. But anyway, he's like, look, man, I waited my whole life for this. And he says, like, I can't live in a cage. And I'm like, who can? Like, who wants to live in be a cage? But anyway, he's finally like, all right, I'll let you go. Mm-hmm. And because he knows he's going to die out there. But this is the point in the movie where we know that Keanu Reeves' character has fully changed, that he's no longer a control freak, and that he doesn't have to be in control all the time.
Yeah. Keanu Reeves lets him go. He goes into the ocean, and all the cops behind him are like, what the fuck's he doing? Why do you let him go?
Yeah. And he says, we'll get him when he comes back in. And Keanu Reeves goes, he's not coming back in.
Someone also says death on a stick.
Death on a stick? I don't remember.
I don't know.
But I remember somebody saying that, but I don't remember at what part.
I just thought that was a funny line.
Yeah.
Also, one other part where you can see Patrick Swayze's dance come in is whenever he jumps out of the plane for that first time, like he's piking out of the plane. And I was like, okay, pike. That's a dance move.
Oh, okay. I didn't notice it.
Yeah. Well, his feet were together, like pointed toes.
Oh, right. Yeah, when they jump out.
That's like a
he's got his
gymnastics.
feet straight out, toes pointed, and up to his forehead.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was very Patrick Swayze dancery guy.
Yeah. It was beautiful. His toes were pointed the whole time.
Yeah. So that is Point Break.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron, I'm going to have to ask you, on a scale of 1 to 9 cat lives, how many cat lives did Point Break slay?
I would say it slayed 9 cat lives.
9 cat lives?
I know. I really liked this movie a lot.
Wow, Aaron.
I think the feminine perspective of her shooting and her directorial aspects of it really made it comforting to watch as a woman. So it wasn't just like testosterone filled,
Right.
but there was plenty of action in it to make it interesting, and there was a lot of suspense. It was the script is kind of goofy, and so there's a lot of really funny moments in it. So it was enjoyable it wasn't all high strung. There was
Right.
a lot of dynamic to this movie. There's such beautiful cinematography in this movie.
Yeah, the movie looks really good.
So yeah, I would watch this movie 20 times like you.
Okay.
That's it. Joey, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Out of 1 to 9 cat lives, how many would you rate this movie?
I love this movie a lot. I've seen it many, many times, but I'm going to have to give this 7 out of 9 cat lives.
Okay.
I love almost everything about it. The casting, Catherine Bigelow is a fantastic director, especially in a type of film that you don't see a lot of women directing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Her giving characters vulnerability instead of insane masculinity really works, and it creates a really beautiful dynamic between these like guru and it's like Karate Kid in a way.
Yeah.
It's beautiful in that way. It's like if Karate Kid, if Mr. Miyagi found out that he was a bank robbing murderer. And it's a really beautiful movie, but I give it 7 out of 9 because the third act is kind of boring. It's kind of like they've used up all the good action scenes. The third act just doesn't deliver.
Yeah.
It's like, they hit the ground in that really tense scene. He gets away, and then it cuts to like a whole year later, and they have a fight scene in the water.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't be locked in a cage. All right, fine, whatever. And this is a problem a lot of movies have. Sometimes they just can't deliver in the third act. There's been so many great sequences that they've already used up.
Yeah.
So for that reason and that reason only, I'm going to give it 7 out of 9.
Okay.
But that's a really good score.
Yeah.
And I can't believe you liked it that much.
I really liked this movie.
It's great. We
And
can
it does-
watch
it
time
doesn't-
and time again.
It definitely doesn't hurt that Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves are very handsome in this movie.
No, I read online that they tried to make the movie earlier, and they considered Johnny Depp, Matthew Broderick. Could you imagine Matthew Broderick as Keanu Reeves?
I'd have to see what he looks like.
He's Ferris Bueller from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, what?
Yeah, with his little boyish charm.
Oh, no.
Imagine him like turning and talking straight to camera.
Ugh. Yeah, no,
And-
absolutely not.
Even like Charlie Sheen was, Tiger Blood Charlie Sheen was considered for it.
What?
Yeah.
I'm so glad it didn't happen then.
Yes, but I think these two guys, Lori Petty, they're the perfect choice for this movie, and of course Gary Busey, who's always value added in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I love this movie, and I can't wait to watch it with you again.
Yeah. Definitely will.
Yeah, and we can make fun of it instead of take notes.
Yeah, for real.
All right, so this episode, we're already over 2 hours. I knew this would take us a while to talk about because I love it so much. So we're not going to play a game.
Womp, womp, womp.
Yeah.
You don't want to play at Fuck, Marry, Kill with Patrick Swayze characters?
No, not really.
Okay, we can do it another time.
Yeah, we'll do it when we watch Ghost or something like that.
Deal.
So if you want to write into us, it is joeyanderinpod at gmail.com. Write on to us with movie recommendations. Tell us about...
Comments about this movie, why you love it, why you hate it,
Yeah.
things we missed.
Yeah. Any correction you have. You want to call us a racist or whatever.
Why do you always say that?
I don't know. Because it's something I think about a lot. Movies. There's a lot of racism in movies.
Oh, yeah.
How many black characters were in this movie?
None.
There was none. This is like the least amount of black people in any movie we've done. So
Yeah.
this movie is racist.
Yeah.
We're racist for not noticing that.
Well, I mean, we noticed it.
Yeah, okay. You want to call us racist, sexist, misogynist, whatever. I want to start a debate with somebody because we have the podcast, so we'll get the last word in. We can always win. So start a feud with us.
I don't know if that's true.
Well, what are they going to do? They're just somebody who wrote an email.
Okay. Well, write into us. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for us. Don't forget to slay and neuter your cats. Bye, everybody.
Bye.